Hey everyone, my name is Sean Arnold and welcome to another episode of Subscriber Showdown. It's been a while since I've done one of these, especially for this game here, Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. It's been a pretty minute since I've been playing Legacy of the Duelist because I have made the transition over to PC and started playing more on Dev Pro with more up-to-date and current cards. Although that being said, I am still a huge fan of Legacy of the Duelist and I do still play it when people make a request and ask me to play it. So if anyone who watches this wants to play me as well on Legacy of the Duelist, more than welcome to come and join me. I'm playing against S-atansClaws12, I'm going to just say it, S-atansClaws12 today, and he's a relatively new player to Yu-Gi-Oh! And so he wanted to play against me and be in the video at the same time. And that's one of the benefits about Legacy of the Duelist. Even though Legacy of the Duelist is fairly out of date, it has quite old cards considered by today's standards, and the environment has been pretty much, most of the top players have kind of moved on from it already. It is still a very good tool for teaching newer players how to play, and that's the one thing I like about Legacy of the Duelist is that I think it's the right pace, the right environment, the right speed, and the right amount of support for playing with newcomers. So what I'm basically going to do here now is I'm going to do some commentary about what's going on in this game, more as a guide to for S-atansClaws and anyone else who's new to the game, so they can kind of understand what you should or should not be doing. So right now, what we need to have a look at here is we've got two fields set up here. S-atansClaws is at the top. He has 8 cards in total, including Neo-Spacian Flare Scarab, and I have 6 cards in total. What's good about that for S-atansClaws is that he has more cards than I do, therefore he has what's called card advantage. Card advantage is incredibly important. It's very simple. A card is a resource, it's a tool, it's an option. The more options you have than your opponent, the better you are to stand at a chance about beating them. Now, of course, it becomes down to what type of options you have available to you, what type of cards you're running, and so on and so forth. But statistically speaking, if you have more options than your opponent, you're going to be doing better than they are. Right now, though, we are kind of even in options, and I'm about to make an equalizer here, or actually maybe take the lead, but no. What we're going to do here is I'm going to lose to my Amateur Sage to Mirror Force. So in this early part of the game, what I typically tend to do when playing against a player is I try to figure out what is it that they're trying to accomplish and how can I create more advantage than they do. And I'm using my Amazonis deck here, and what's really great about them is anytime that Amazonis is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon one from your deck to the field. So I didn't really actually lose anything in the long run. So now I'm going to attack Neo-Spacian Flare Scarab with my Amazonis trainee, and Amazonis trainee is going to do 1200 damage, and several effects are now going to kick in. One, it's going to send Neo-Spacian Flare Scarab to the bottom of my opponent's deck instead of the graveyard, meaning my opponent can't maybe play something like Miracle Fusion or something to get him back from the graveyard. And then I also got an attack boost now for my Amazonis, who is now up to 1900 attack with her own effect and the field spell that's on the field. S-atansClaws now plays Neo-Space. This card allows him to give a 500 attack boost to Elemental Hero Neos and any fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos as a fusion material. And the thing with Elemental Hero Neo's monsters is that they all had this effect where at the end of the end phase, I believe you had to shuffle them back into your extra deck or something like that. Can't really quite remember. That's a really big downside. It's very costly to bring out a fusion monster typically, and I think Elemental Hero Neo's monsters, they use contact fusion. And to lose them during the end phase of what you spent is a bit costly. So Neo-Space allows you to say, nah, I don't want to lose the monster. Overall, really, Elemental Hero Neos isn't really a good place to start with this game, or really a good deck to really be running. It's, first of all, you've got to have fun with the game. You've got to be able to enjoy yourself. And if you want to play, you know, your favorite character's deck, then fine, so be it. What I do strongly recommend, though, is trying out one of the beginner videos which I put up on my channel. I put up a video saying how to build a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, and if you want to go and check that out, I show you how to make a very basic deck that talks about card advantage and how to manage your resources. It's all about getting rid of your opponent's cards by destroying their back row, destroying their monsters, and then allows you to kind of go for the win when your opponent has no more resources. Okay, so the difference between myself and S-atansClaws right now is one, I have more cards than he does, and two, most of his advantage plays are coming through battle, and that's not really going to hurt me much when I have cards like Amazon's Village on the field, because I'm not going to actually lose any more monsters. Typically, if one monster destroys another monster, you lose, your opponent loses the card and you gain a card and an advantage against them. But because I'm continuously bringing back my Amazonist, that's not really a threat to me at all. Plus, the elemental hero monsters are really quite weak, and despite the fact that my Amazonists are also quite weak, they are stronger typically than the elemental hero monsters. So what I'm going to do next turn is I'm actually going to poke my opponent a little bit more here. I just drew into Goblin the Bird, and I'm going to hold on to that for a bit. And I'm going to attack his Burstinatrix with Amazonist Sage. Now, Amazonist Sage is a really good card for Amazonist deck, and it's also really good for fighting this type of elemental hero deck, because anytime Amazonist Sage inflicts battle damage to my opponent, or sorry, attacks my opponent, at the end of the damage step, she gets to destroy a spell or trap card on the field. So not only in this situation did I get to destroy his monster, gaining an advantage that way, I also got to destroy his field spell, gaining more advantage. And now my terms of resources is a much higher count than his terms of resources. He has only 4 cards and I have 7 cards. So let's see what S-atansClaws is going to try to do now. He plays Air Hummingbird. Now, Air Hummingbird has a nice effect, or cool effect, where every turn, once per turn, you can gain 500 life points for each card your opponent has in their hand. What's the bad thing about Air Hummingbird though is gaining life points is kind of good, but it's also really not that good. It all depends on how you use it. Life points can't win you a game. They can't really turn into advantage for you. They can be used, say, to block an attack and take damage so you won't die in order to preserve your resources. And in some specialist types of decks, managing your life points or increasing your life points is a really good thing. There's a new archetype called, I think it's Aromages or Aromages, I'm not quite sure what it's called, which all focuses on life points management, and that's really good. But Neospatial Air Hummingbird isn't really good because, one, you can use your normal summon to bring him out in the field for the benefit of all 1,000 life points. Then it's stuck with this really weak monster on the field, which is going to be vulnerable to damage, and realistically you could have just put it in defense and maybe actually just blocked an attack and actually saved yourself more harm than good. Let's put this into an example here. I've got my Blade Armor Ninja on the field who can attack twice per turn. Blade Armor Ninja is actually out in the field with 3,000 attack, and I'm going to go and attack my opponent's monster. Now if I attack S-atansClaws right now with a Hummingbird, although I'm going to use Snatch Steal on it, if I was to attack it, my opponent would lose 2,500 damage, but he gained 1,000, so that's a loss of 1,500 damage to him overall from playing a Hummingbird. If you put it in defense position, you wouldn't have lost any life points, and even if you wouldn't have gained any life points in the long run, you still wouldn't have lost 1,500, so you would have been in a better position here. So really, and also I wouldn't be able to play Snatch Steal either. So yeah, lots of beginning plays here from S-atansClaws. We are going to do another quick game here, and I am going to focus more on what kind of advice I can give to someone like him. I am more than open to play you again, S-atansClaws. I'm more than happy to do so, and if you want to practice and train and learn the game, feel free to contact me anytime on PS4 or PSN, and then that's also open to anyone else that also wants to learn the game. Still very much happy to teach people how to play the game. Okay. Now, one thing you did right there is you chose to go second. Unless you have a certain type of deck which runs what we call floodgate effects, they're effects that stop your opponent from making certain plays, and your deck is very likely to open them in your first turn, then realistically you really want to go second, because when you go second you get more, you start your first turn with more cards than your opponent, plus you get to attack that turn as well. But it's really depends on the deck you're playing. In most case scenarios, for most new players, choose to go second. It's going to be better for you in the long run. So I've set 3 cards out of the field. Now what S-atansClaws should be doing is he should have a monster on the field to try and attack me and try to kind of bait out some of my cards. And he also should be having some spells or trap cards in the back row to protect his monsters if he loses this monster. Now what he did here was a big mistake there. He had Elemental Hero Wild Heart on the field, and Wild Heart or Wild Man is has an effect where he's not affected by trap cards. So really there's no reason why he shouldn't have attacked, because he wouldn't have been stopped by any of my trap cards, which is what most players are running in their back row. And again, he chooses to play defensively for this turn, which really again isn't really a good idea. You can stall as much as you want, but there's no reason to, because you shouldn't be scared of the cards that I have on the field. Even if it was a spell card, most quick play spells that people use don't destroy cards, so you wouldn't have lost your Wild Heart there. You could have just quite easily gone for it. Okay, so I played Abyssalis's Village. I summoned Abyssalis's Trainee. Now, I could have played Dark Hole here and gotten rid of 2 of my opponent's cards, but I decided I want to destroy them in my battle. I don't want them to go back to the graveyard, because the graveyard can be an extra resource for most people. So I'm going to use Trainee's effect to send them back to the deck instead, and plus that will also boost her attack quite considerably. Although, ideally, in most situations, you want to use a card like Dark Hole when you can at least destroy 2 of your opponent's monsters. So, either would have been a beneficial situation for me. I decided to go for the damage. Okay, here's something that interesting happening here. S-atansClaws chose to play a card called Emergency Provisions. Emergency Provisions, again, isn't a really good card to use. Emergency Provisions is a card which allows you to send any number of spell trap cards you control to the graveyard. Gain 1,000 life points for each card sent. Now this did used to be used back in the day, a long time ago, and I mean like early Yu-Gi-Oh! When people would like to send cards to the graveyard so certain effects would be activated, like Call of the Haunted. But really, in this day and age, it's really not useful to use, and it's considered a -1. In fact, it could be considered more than a -1 in some cases. See, for 1,000 life points, my opponent lost not 1 but 2 cards. That's really poor resource management. Losing 2 cards for the gain of 1,000 life points really isn't worth it. I would much rather pay 1,000 life points to gain 2 cards as opposed to losing 2 cards. But you know, still new to the game. But yeah, that's the kind of things you want to be thinking about. Whenever you choose a card for your deck, you want to ask yourself, okay, what do I gain by playing this card? What do I lose by playing this card? Typically, every card you play, you're going to lose it eventually. So you want to make sure that it can make the most of it whilst you can use it. Okay, so we are here now on turn 13. Nothing is really happening between here and the cuts that I've made. Really, it's just been me whittling down my opponent's resources quite slowly, just destroying his monsters. I think this might be game. Yeah, this is going to be game here. But yeah, no, this is really my advice to you, S-atansClaws, is check out that video I did on my channel, which says how to build a deck. Try out a deck like that and start learning how to play the resource management game and count your resources in terms of what cards you have and how to get rid of your opponent's cards, as opposed to just focusing on building big monsters and gaining life points. But good game to you, dude. And again, if anyone else wants to receive some training or advice and wants to play Legacy of the Duelist with me, or just wants to play a game or two, feel free to hit me up on PS4. Alright guys, I will chat to you soon. Take care.